Hello, Warriors. Dale Pinkert here at TradeGATEHub. We are powered and sponsored by TradeView Markets. I want to prep everyone for the CPI that we have tomorrow. And there have been a couple of changes. Yesterday, I got short S&Ps, so it's my highest conviction trade. I believe that what we had yesterday at this 3860 level is a failing rally of this first pullback to 3700. I'm expecting a pretty good decline. There's an old Wall Street saying that the bears feast on Thanksgiving, which is a few weeks away, and the bulls feast on Christmas. So into month's end, I think there's a chance that we break all the way back down towards this 3600 handle. Quality would take us to about 3630. So that's going to be a risk-off event that we're going to have, and it's going to be a real good test for the dollar and the metals. The metals could probably fight off a strong dollar, but I'm looking at things like the Aussie, that if we are aborting here, that we could see new lows down towards 61. You can't rule out on good news that we get one more wave up towards 66.5, and in the euro, try the 102 level. But I'm coming to the conclusion that there could be one more test, one more high in the dollar, even if we trade down one more time towards the 108 level down here, or even 107.70 down here. This is a very important pivot. But as I look at this move that we've had in the dollar for over a month, working on two, it's been marking time rather than retracing in price. So to me, that shows inherent strength of the dollar. And when I go back to the high of the move in the dollar on the daily, we did confirm it. So if we get this rally to new highs in the dollar, maybe up towards 116 ballpark, there's a very good possibility that on that event we do not confirm and we make a lower RSI peak. And much of this is predicated on a risk-off move in equities that's going to be pretty good. About 10% is, what we're talking about, back down towards 3,600. So precious metal bulls are celebrating here. We did have a breakout in the gold, so we still haven't taken out this high yet. We'll see what happens tomorrow in inflation news. If you're bullish gold, you do not want to see it trade back under 1680. That would imply a false breakout. This 1680 has been a very important pivot. So if it's back under 1680, you can't rule out one more washout. Silver, similar situation, although we did take out the highs here. 2150, the 200-day, is containing it. And I would recommend that people don't have FOMO, because if I'm right about the dollar, and even if we're not going to wash out to new lows, there will be better levels, I believe, to buy the metals than what we're looking at today. So tomorrow's a big day. You can't argue with the fact that this has been a nice run, but the fly in the ointment, and it doesn't have to correlate, because we saw going into the war both the dollar and precious metals going up together, but it does give me some pause in the precious metals here. Looking at copper had the big day that we had on the China news, has done nothing wrong yet. I'd be careful about copper too if I'm going to be right about the S&Ps as they make new lows as we're talking. I don't know if it's people are negative about the election results that we're getting here in the States, but to me it looks like if we had equality, 39.20, that's 220 from here is going to give me 640, and that's going to be pretty close to major support. You don't want to see it taking out 3,600, or we have something else going on. Yields, I kept looking for, the potential for this to be a failing rally, but if we have a hot number, we could very easily rally up towards 440, 450, and have a 3 drive. This would be 1, This would be 2. And even though we diverge, way too much momentum. So we'll see what happens if we make new highs in yields. Let me just draw kind of a wedge line to get an idea of current ascent and where that would take it. So for this wedge line, you take that high and you take this high, and there you go, right there. Okay, right up here is going to take you up to about 460, actually, 450, 460 into the number. So we'll make that disappear. And that could be also part of the weakness that we're seeing in S&Ps now down 30 handles. Did an interview, and I kind of like the way the VIX is acting. I know it's disappointed people for a long time. I think you could be long the VIX against 24. And if we get that break to 3,600, I think that a rally back to 30 is possible. We take out that 3,600 level and we have problems. But I still think there's a chance after 36 that we get a better rally. And what's really hurting the market are things like Apple and most of the mega stocks, and the things that are performing are things that when you drop it on your foot, it hurts. So also Russell's been dogging it back under this ascending triangle breakout. So basically my narrative going into the CPI is that we're going to have a pretty quick vicious break to the downside in the S&Ps, and that's going to be a test for all the other instruments to see if it gets caught up in a liquidation break. We all know that Bitcoin unsettled the markets yesterday, and I don't think they're helping at all today as well. Down another 1,000 here on Bitcoin, pressing the lows. So maybe Bitcoin, although it has its own specifics to it, with people not feeling that their cash is safe sitting in a crypto broker's account, we'll see if that spills over and turns into anything systemic. And that's really the way I see things going in. Canada was a great trade from the right shoulder up here, but here we are under the neckline, not giving much follow through. If the dollar does weaken and we get that one more pullback to 108, which would be taking out this recent low and heading down to here, I do think that you could see Canada trading down at 132. So there is a possibility of one more pop in the currencies, but it's also possible that we're boarding right here. Pound's under a lot of pressure. I don't think the pound will make a new low for peaking up here. I'm looking at 108, 107, but that's a pretty big break from here. And Aussie, I think, is the most vulnerable for a new low. It really had the weakest rally, even weaker. Well, Euro didn't have, was no trip to Hollywood either. So the dollar is the key. When the dollar acts good, everything else acts bad. When the dollar acts bad, everything acts good. But my whole scenario and narrative right now in other outside markets, including currencies, is predicated upon the S&Ps and this being a failing rally, and that we're going to come back and test major support into Thanksgiving or towards the end of the month. So good hunting, good luck tomorrow on the CPI, and be careful about red ink in equities over the next couple weeks. Don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Mike will be with you in an hour and 20 minutes. And tomorrow we're going to have Jake from TrendSpider with us. And Jake is one of the guys that Mike follows. So be here for this interview tomorrow. He has some great technical setups, and we'll talk a little bit about Jake's journey and his methodology. So good hunting, and I'll see you tomorrow.